Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 129 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, April 16th, 2018.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a liberal husband and father of three, sports shooter, and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts.
I'm Better Andrew, base stick man out of Southern Ontario. Or certified base stick man, sorry.
I'm going to sit here uncomfortably and see if Andrew actually says anything because I see him typing the show notes with my name.
No, it says Dave. Dave's got to insert his own intro.
Oh, okay.
Read your own intro.
I'm Dave. I am a hyphen.
What is this? Freaking North Korea? I cannot work like this. I will be in my trailer. I am Dave, also known as Random Dave. I appear randomly on podcasts here and about. I am a CQB range safety officer. I like guns and computers and fun things like that.
Well, we happen to have guns and computers on today's episode.
Yay.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. I have also achieved certified based stickman status.
We'd love to hear your feedback from the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes. Yeah, sorry.
You're not going to read the URL?
That'll do. Please don't read the URL. That's just there so people can click on it.
I will.
Do not go to itunes.com/apple.ca/podcast. No, don't do that.
/ All right.
Somebody hand me an axe handle. To see our fine collection of photographs of axe handles, you can visit the podcast on Facebook, facebook.com, or Instagram, instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. Use the hashtag axe handles.
Yes, that's a good one. We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get the uncensored audio version of the show for just $1 per episode, and the more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. Every week, Arrowhead Coffee brings us What Are We Drinking? That's my favorite segment in the show. It's where I ask you, what are you drinking? We'll start with Andrew. What are you drinking?
Newfie Screech and Sprite.
I think Screech is a first on the show. I don't think we've had anybody do that yet.
I hope it's the legitimate stuff. I'm not sure.
Well, if you go blind, we'll know.
You should try their Newfoundland Re.
Comes with 22. Dave, what are you drinking?
I am drinking some boiled water with ginger bits in the bottom of it and something that sweetened it because my throat was all messed up last night and I was coughing and my wife made me something nice. So
it's not alcohol, but very nice of your wife nonetheless.
I'm not judgmental. I don't tend to drink alcohol, but you're all horrible humans for doing so and paying the huge tax on it, except for our friend Better Andrew, who apparently has moonshine. So that's all good.
It's rum, so.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm paying tax on my whiskey, but I have 5 gallons of beer that's fermenting. I paid less tax on that because, I just paid sales tax. I didn't have to pay excise taxes because taxation is theft.
That way you can better regulate the fluoride content.
My beer is fluoride free, I assure you. Which is a good point. Tim, what are you drinking? And is it fluoride free?
No, it isn't fluoride free.
What? Where's the reverse osmosis water?
I know. I've got to get back onto it. Drinking Ricketts
I'm
Red.
so confused right now.
It's delicious.
Okay, now I'm confused and aroused.
You're falling off the reverse osmosis bandwagon.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm going to unreverse the osmosis.
It's
Don't know how that would work.
Yes. I'm drinking Crown something Northern Harvest Rye. I ran out of the bottle of the last thing that I was drinking, which was some other kind of Crown. Black, maybe? I don't know. I've had a lot of whiskey today. It's been Monday. Let's deal with some thoroughly triggering news. We'll start. I've got an audio clip from Toronto Sun. We'll get Jordan Peterson on the show yet if it kills both him and I. But in the meantime, I have delightful sound at 1.25 speed to make him sound like a normal person rather than a university lecturer.
Because I think Kathleen Wynne is an utter disaster. Oh, good. What's the Shakespearean line? One can smile and smile and smile and still be a villain. And there's something to be said for an excess of compassion. Everyone in Ontario is not her grandchild, not her new granddaughter infant. We're not infants. We don't need that much compassion. And her insistence on identity politics is unacceptable. The things that have happened under her watch at the universities are unacceptable. They're way worse than people think. The establishment of these social justice tribunals, that was what started all this. I read the documentation for the social justice tribunals and for the Ontario Human Rights Commission, all of that. They have the right to suspend jurisprudential precedent. It's like, really? It's in there. It's not articles of incorporation, but in the equivalent for these quasi-judicial tribunals. We have the right to suspend jurisprudential precedent. Oh, really? Oh, you do you? Okay. What exactly does that mean? Well, I know what it means. It means that English common law is an oppressive patriarchy, and when necessary, we won't abide by its dictates because it interferes with our ideological agenda. They're called social justice tribunals for a reason. It's not like this is hidden. So I'm not a fan of hers at all. I don't know if I would shake her hand if I met her. I might, because she's premier, and there's something to be said for the office. But I think that she's a reprehensible ideologue. I think that she's a wolf in sheep's clothing as well, because she's not a liberal by any stretch of the imagination. The liberals are centrists. They always have been. And I don't see any evidence whatsoever that Kathleen Wynne's government is to the left of what the NDP was in the 1970s. So how is she a liberal? It doesn't matter. The social justice types, they don't care what the institution originally stood for. It's completely irrelevant to them.
All right. So it's a little long, but on the upside, I made him speak at a regular tempo like a normal human being, because normally he speaks very slowly and very clearly. You can tell he sits in front of students and lectures for a living. Clearly does not drink on Monday nights.
Clearly not.
But yeah, how do you guys feel about that? The leftists call him the most dangerous man in Canada, and he's calling Wynne the most dangerous woman in Canada. And I want to know why everybody's assuming their genders.
That is a damn good question, Andrew. That's a question for a human rights tribunal right there.
Social justice tribunal, I think.
Too bad it wouldn't go anywhere.
I don't know. I like Peterson's stuff, and this is another case where somebody decided to ask him and get some good sound bites out of it. Mm-hmm. I particularly enjoy that he quotes Shakespeare. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Peterson lately, and he's an easy man to admire. His logic is infallible, and I do disagree with one thing. I do not think that you have to shake her hand out of respect for the office.
I agree. We're not in the military. You don't have to salute your superior.
Yeah, that's funny. Even referring to Wynne as somebody's superior. I mean, I don't really have a lot to add.
Well, just ask
the man. The man makes good points, and that's why I wanted to play his audio, because this is...
Yep. Show's over. We'll see you all next week.
Okay, bye. No, I mean...
Yeah. I was listening to him just before the show as well. I like his stuff, and I like the fact that he never gets upset. Everybody's ranting and raving at him, and he's just cool as a bee. Just doesn't care. Just says his thing. And, yeah, he's right. I mean, she's just... Look at her record. There's a reason that... most of the province hates her, because no matter how much money how much of your money they try and give you, she tries to give you, you still don't like her, because just there's nothing to like about her.
I do think this is a really apt comparison, and I have not heard this before about Wynne, and we've complained, or at least I've complained repeatedly and publicly about her fiscal positions, giving $2 billion for you, $2 billion for you. It's like, white lesbian Oprah, everybody gets $2 billion.
Everybody gets a unicorn.
Everybody gets $2 billion. But I mean, not really, because somebody's got to pay for that.
Solar unicorns.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I don't get any unicorns. I own a business, so I pay for the unicorns for everyone else.
Well, that is the problem, right? Is we're paying for these unicorns, and I have not heard anyone compare what Win is doing to treating taxpayers like children. But that's exactly what the $2 billion for you, and $2 billion for you, and $750 a month for seniors for home maintenance, and that's what it is. This is the literal nanny state.
Peterson has a great video called, I can't remember who he's with, but it's a Rebel Media thing, and it's where do social justice warriors come from? And they take a look at agreeableness and disagreeableness and all that good stuff, and they find that people who are very SJW and want to help everybody out, yeah, it's like the mother tendency, right? These people are incompetent, and they can't do anything unless they have our help, and we have to help them. They're in distress. We got to get on this, but they're not kids, so yeah. I don't like the whole give everybody money.
I wonder if this is a misdirected mothering instinct. Like this is someone who should have had children but didn't, and is now forcing those tendencies onto the population that she rules over as premier.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain why people vote for her.
Well, I think the $2 billion worth of free stuff.
But it's not free.
Yeah,
it is for them. You're not paying for it.
But what I always say,
I don't think it means what you think it means.
What I always say is, like, when the government offers you like laziness, you walk away. Like when it offers you an option to not work or to do this or to take that, like like government dependency is not a goal.
Shouldn't be.
So just say no to more government.
Yeah.
It's like the DARE program for voters.
Yeah, I dare you not to shake its hand.
All right.
Nice gender non-assumption. I like that.
The government's pronoun is Zer.
What does the B stand for in LGBTQ2? Whatever the hell it is. Bi?
LGBT. Bisexual. Yeah.
As in two?
No, the two is two-spirited.
Oh, okay.
That's the natives.
No, that's a different two in the same acronym. But let's not get bogged down in gender politics, because this is not the budget episode. We've already done that.
We could use a little bog. Okay. Whatever. Onward.
Let's talk about something from the CBC. There was an access to information request that was performed by the CBC that released federal documents prepping ministers about the fear of tipping public support with rising immigration levels. So they want to make sure that when they're having discussions with the public that they are supported by diverse and prominent stakeholders. So this means, having visible minorities speaking at these things, preferably having former refugees there, just like we have many liberal MPs of that flavor. The problem comes up with there was a poll that was conducted where the government got a bunch of these figures that ends up in the report, and Canadians generally support having more people immigrating to this country, which is fine. It's something like 50% of Canadians believe that the number of immigrants that's coming into Canada is a reasonable number, and they also believe that it's 150,000 people a year. And during that same poll, if you tell them that it's actually more than 250,000 people a year, all of a sudden support drops to 23%.
Now, I wonder where people came up with that random number, because they're not immigration experts. They don't know how this stuff should work. So it seems a very random number.
It is a very random number, but it's the difference of just over 100,000, which is the part that I find that's very interesting, is that the people that are being surveyed, and again, I don't have the survey data because this is all filtered through our public broadcasting agency that receives government money to do it. So I question their honesty of their reporting. But an increase of 100,000 people drops the respondency by 10%. This seems suspicious. It also seems suspicious to me that the government that there's a governmental department responsible for drafting letters to ministers to tell them how to gently handle the electorate.
Not even vaguely surprised at that.
What's kind of funny though, like you said though, it's just like you imagine this like a comical kind of voter, and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm for immigration, and then it's like, whoa, not that much.
That's too much immigration. That's the thing is, it's a difference.
Too much random number.
It's 100,000 people different. Like this is
undo.
That is not a significant amount. We're a country of 30 million people, and okay, 150,000 people immigrating every year. That's okay, but 250,000 people? No, we don't want that. That'd be like we're talking about like 0.1% of the population in difference. It's a rounding error. I don't understand how they came up to this.
It all depends on, like, you should really, independent study should be made into how they're selecting who gets to immigrate into Canada. And I think that there seems to be a predominant trend lately to bring in mostly Muslim immigrants. And like, from what I've seen, the statistics show that Muslims vote for conservatives like 2% of the time. Like they're 18% say they prefer not to say, and then the others are NDP, and it was mostly liberal. And someone made a talking point who basically said, you vote for liberals, and they bring in immigrants who vote for liberals. They bring in immigrants who vote for liberals. It's just
that is absolutely what they're doing in this case. It entertains me that the immigration minister is developing a 3-year plan and getting feedback from constituents across the country, but they're specifically trying to make the constituents answer the questions in a particular way, and they're going out of their way to be they're going out of their way to deceive the electorate, because it's important to have a diverse collection of prominent stakeholders, but not too diverse and not too prominent, because that will undermine the history of the relative Canadian consensus. That's right.
Right.
It's got to be just the right amount of diversity.
Yeah, and not of thought, just of skin color and religion.
Yeah, I mean, because we should definitely judge people based on their skin color or the gods they worship.
The left has taught me that there's nothing more important than what race you are. It's all that matters.
Well, that's interesting, because we were talking about Jordan Peterson, and I saw an interesting video that he did recently. He was talking about the differences between liberals and conservatives with regard to immigration. And the liberals, they usually, there's like the 5 basic personality type or traits. There's a theory about these. There's 5 main personality traits, and liberals test much higher in openness. Therefore, they're open to immigration. And conservatives, he said that they test high in disgust, and he said that kind of relates to, a very instinctive thing like, these people don't look like me. I could catch a disease or something like that. But that's very, uber paraphrasing, but like he was just reassured, like the trend is the liberals are open for much more immigration than other spectrum.
Hey, no one is illegal.
Let's do another one. I've got a CBC article where I can agree with liberals for all the wrong reasons. Father of slain police officer rips into gun bill letter. I'm sorry. Father of slain police officer rips into gun bill in letter to Goodall. Father of a police officer who's gunned down in Quebec was angered that the Liberal government's firearms bill doesn't do enough. There's nothing in the legislation that would have prevented his son's death. And this is absolutely true. And this is the problem with our current gun control regime. And the proposed changes to legislation in C-71 will do nothing to fix any of the problems that allowed this young man to legally obtain firearms and then make all of the noise. To legally obtain firearms and then use them in an unlawful manner. So this particular incident took place last year. A 26-year-old man legally obtained a firearm after completing his firearms license, despite the attention of police being drawn to a history of mental illness that he possesses, which would have happened within the last 5 years, which he was screened for under the current Licensing Act. So the father in question, the letter to Goodall that was written, the father says that the proposed changes to legislation in C-71 don't go far enough because they still wouldn't have done anything to prevent his son from getting firearms. And he's absolutely right.
They weren't enforced in the first place. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten the gun.
Well, this is the problem, is there are currently laws in place that should have prevented someone that's suffering from some sort of mental difficulty, like his son, from obtaining firearms legally. For whatever reason, the government saw fit to grant him a license, and then he used his firearms in an unlawful manner. Shooting cops and then losing his own life. I mean, this is all terrible stuff, but to the father's point, nothing in the bill is going to change this. And this is why I'm agreeing with liberals for the wrong reasons, because why are we changing the law at all? He's right.
So they had rid of some of them.
Well, if we're not addressing the mental issues that are current with the individual within the last 5 years, the way that the law is currently written, what does doing a lifetime mental health check accomplish if they're still not going to enforce the law?
Absolutely nothing.
So the headline should have read more like current gun laws not actually enforced, causing police officers death.
That would be how I read this, is that if we would just enforce the laws that were on the books, then we wouldn't have to make new firearms legislation that makes it harder for law-abiding Canadians to own their property. But I think I have a bigger societal question is, where was this guy's father? Why was he allowing his adult son to be in possession of firearms? The RCMP has a 1-800 number that anyone can call and report a concern with a legal or illegal firearm.
I'll never even mind even that. You call your local cops and say, "Hey, look, my kid shouldn't have guns." I'm sure they'd do the same thing.
Well, that's like there are pieces in place in the existing legal framework to take the guns out of hands of people who are accused of mental deficiency. Not people that actually have been proven, but people that stand accused of being mentally defective in one way or another can have their firearms taken away. If you so much, through the continual eligibility screening process, if you so much as are accused of domestic violence, your firearms can be taken away from you. And in many cases, they are. So I don't understand why in this particular case, the police failed to enforce the law.
That is an excellent question.
So where was this guy's father, and why was he not doing something about it to make his son a productive, contributing member of society?
Also a good question. Did he know that his son had guns? Maybe he didn't at the time. Who knows?
Raymond Papetit was in the Canadian Armed Forces at the time, I believe.
Who is Raymond Papetit?
He was the person who killed the officer we're talking about.
I thought his name was Leroux.
Thierry
Leroux was the one who died.
Was the officer who was killed.
Oh, that was the officer. I see.
Yeah.
It was the father of the victim who said that the gun control wasn't going to be.
I misunderstood that. I thought it was the suspect's father, not the officer's father. My mistake. Lots of whiskey.
But either way, all the points still stand. Where was the other guy's father? Everything you said all still holds true.
Yep.
All right, let's do another one. We got National Post. Harjit Sajjan orders crackdown as Canadian Forces Facebook page features racist and vulgar comments. Well, I'm sorry, Minister Sajjan, you put something on the internet. This is why the British Research Council has Bodie McBoatface.
Yep.
If you don't want the internet to play stupid games, you shouldn't put it on the internet.
They should have gone with Bodie McBoatface and been cool. Still mad about that. Anyway, yeah. If you have a public page, especially a government public page, have a bunch of people there keeping an eye on it. It says in the article they have 5 people keeping an eye on it. Well, clearly those people either aren't doing their damn job or they need more people.
Well, this is the problem. Is why? So I have some issues.
Just don't allow comments.
Why is our military paying 5 people? Like, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars of years in salary. Why is our government paying 5, I assume, members of the Canadian Forces, but they may be civilian employees in any event? Why is our government paying these people to police the Facebook page? Also, what did they expect would happen when they started a Facebook page? It's the internet.
Yeah, go look at any of your Service Ontario locations on Google Maps and check it. They all have 1-star reviews. That's what you're gonna get. Like,
Well, I mean, those are
those are deserved and justified, and they totally get the rating that they get. But
yeah, the internet is full of trolls. It's gonna happen. But the Service Ontario example, I don't think is a directly parallel, because I mean, have you been to Service Ontario? That is a 1-star review. That is a generous star.
Yeah, I've never had a good time when I've gone there.
No,
didn't go lower. I do find it amusing that they have a comment on the National Post article that about Sajjan. Says many commentators accuse him of being a liar. A soldier has stolen valor because of his claims last year to have been the architect of a major defensive against the Taliban. Sorry, that's a legitimate comment. That one's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's not racist. That's nothing.
He was, in fact, not the architect of Operation Medusa, despite his claims to the contrary last year.
Yes.
But
I like the one where they call Trudeau a turd.
Again, where's the lie?
Yeah, but again, have more people on the page, or just disable comments and just use it as a news page. I mean, why do you have a Facebook page people can comment on? Why?
Yeah, like just make it not private, but just don't put that people can comment on it, and then you won't have this problem, and then you won't be wasting the salary of 5 people.
Yep. If you'd like to comment, please send us an email.
If you'd like to comment, contact your chain of command.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's like a serious thing that comes up in the article, is that people are being quoted as being disgusted that some of these comments may be coming from current service members.
I don't care that they are.
Well, neither do I. I think current service members should absolutely have a forum to voice their opinions. I don't think that public Facebook pages are the appropriate forum, but I think they should have that forum.
Yeah, but that being said, like, I think freedom of speech should be granted, like, almost carte blanche. Like, it's just like,
I'm inclined to agree, but then you have to deal with things like the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and Canadian soldiers don't have the same charter rights as everyone else. Their ability to speak really is one of those things.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Like,
no, I've talked to a few people in the forces who have said that there have been politically incorrect comments made that were perhaps true comments, and it wasn't good. Wasn't good.
Yeah, just because it's true doesn't mean you can say it. But I mean, that's separate from everybody who's not wearing the funny green outfit today.
Like any workforce, right?
Yeah, but it sounds as difficult as doing a right-wing podcast in Canada.
What? We have those?
They're rumors.
I've heard stories. Where's my button?
Allegedly.
It worked.
There you go. It worked.
Good.
Just in case you didn't hear it.
I still can't hear my own drops, but that's okay. I see the little level meter.
Yeah, but like I just like you hear rumblings from service members, like their notices go out when they release the budget, and they're like, "You are not to speak negatively about the budget at all." Like they're like, they should be able to comment about their government's budget, like when they get,
Well, they're paying for it too. It's not like they're not paying for stuff like that. But I guess it's like any workforce. Like I know people who work for unions, and they will not ever, ever, ever publicly say something negative about their union, because there will be repercussions. It's not right, but it's like any workplace.
All right, let's do another one. We've got Canadian humanitarian worker Peter Dalglish. Dude needs to buy a vowel. Arrested in child sex investigation in Nepal, according to police. Tim, do you want to talk about this one? I think you found it.
Sure. Yeah, he was a 60-year-old Canadian humanitarian worker. He worked on the United Nations staff member, and he was arrested in Nepal and he's under investigation for child sex crimes. So from what I can find is he's allegedly was caught having sex with 12 and 14-year-old girls in Nepal, and it's not hard to find pictures of Trudeau with this guy's arm around him. So
so I did some good interning on this. So he was formerly employed by the United Nations. His most recent employer, aside from his own project Street Kids International was the World Health Organization, and formerly he was a lawyer before going on to become a humanitarian.
Yeah, before his growing increase in interest in street kids.
Yeah, this
Jesus
is the
Christ. Like,
I mean, we don't have enough facts, but I'm happy to wildly speculate about this because this is one of Trudeau's friends.
okay, I have a fact. I'm just your average schmuck, but like I can very quickly find pictures of Trudeau with 2 pedophiles on Google, like sitting right by them or with their arm around each other or something like that.
Right, and that's like, I mean, it's probably not super hard to take a selfie with Trudeau.
Well, yeah,
But
I
at the
think didn't he
same
take a
time-
picture with that guy who blew up a taxi in Stratford?
And some terrorist dude over in India too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So-
I guess you can't.
I
yeah.
mean, I don't think it's super hard to get a selfie with Trudeau, but at the same time, he seems to have a lot of selfie with people of very questionable characters.
yes.
I mean, it's like a contest among them now. You know, hey, what are you? I'm a terrorist. I'm a child molester. Bet you I can get a photo with Trudeau. Oh, you cannot. Come on, man.
It's the whole dark web thing we don't know
crazy.
about. It's just like,
Start a conspiracy theory.
yeah. It's a picture of like Osama bin Laden selling Trudeau like a falafel or something. It's just like, got him.
Check that one off the bucket list.
Oh yeah, that's that liberal openness, Trudeau. You got to watch who you get pictures taken with.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, I guess we'll see what comes of this once the Nepalese government conducts their investigation. But this does not strike me as something positive for somebody who's been doing humanitarian work for the better part of 20 years.
Yeah, who else? Who knows what else he's done in that time?
Well,
Right?
What it
Wonder.
immediately reminded me of was the Laura Silsby thing where she was caught trying to take 33 children out of Haiti, and she was in some charitable organization too. But it's just like there are of course conspiracy theories which I love to indulge in every once in a while, just like I like to have a McDonald's cheeseburger on occasion. But yeah, it's just the whole thing. They keep these people with humanitarian ties and involved in like child predation. It just kind of like sets an alarm bell off.
Well, I mean, it's like
Absolutely.
school teachers and stuff like that, right? You're probably going to have issues with things that you work with children. I mean, certain types of, it's going to be mostly good people, but you are going to draw the occasional scumbag.
Yeah, as with like a ton of professions.
Yeah, exactly. Podcasters for what?
Kathleen Wynne.
Kathleen Wynne. Well, I think part of this is also the proximity. Like maybe, so he's been doing this since like 1988. So I think a minute ago I was whiskey and I actually meant 30 years and said 20.
Yeah.
But whiskey.
Yeah.
Even if he
Interesting.
started out with the best of intentions, there's also the proximity issue, right?
Mhm.
If he spends enough time around these people, eventually, like even if he didn't start out doing stuff with them, if he had a predilection towards doing something with them, there's the time and opportunity to have done it. So who knows if the Nepal thing is actually took place? It sounds like, according to the Nepalese government, it did. And who knows if that was the first case or not. So I guess we'll see what ends up coming from it.
Generally, those sorts of things, it's not the first case. By the time they get caught, they've been at it for a while.
Right? That's kind of my thought, is this isn't usually like,
Especially since there's 2 kids in the home, not just one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super creepy.
You
seems
think like,
brazen, right?
yeah, you wouldn't start with 2. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You work your way up to 2.
All right, then.
It's all in your head.
I don't want to subscribe to your newsletter.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that Tim brought this to our attention. It's been super creepy and awkward. Let's talk about pot.
Move on.
The Toronto Star, also known as Toronto's finest marijuana wrapping paper.
Ew,
Well, what else is it good for if not lighting on fire?
cat litter. Cats
Good
love it.
point. Cats love the Star. It's full of poop. Ontario's first 4 pot shops to open in Toronto, Kingston, Guelph, and Thunder Bay. And naturally, someone is having a conniption about this. Although it is not the group that I expected that would have a conniption. In this case, it's the Toronto School Board.
Within a kilometer of 4 schools. My God, I mean, there's got to be a lot of places that you can build stuff that you're not within a kilometer of a school. Who cares? I'm sure they have convenience stores that sell cigarettes.
I am absolutely positive they do. The president of the Ontario Public School Boards Association was the person that freaked out and was quoted by the Star. So the Toronto Ontario Cannabis Store, I think saying in Toronto Ontario Cannabis Store is kind of misleading. This is more like the Scarborough Ontario Cannabis Store. It's going to be Gerrard Street East and Victoria Park Ave.
So like Quebec.
Basically Quebec.
Yeah. I like as well that they point out that there's a McDonald's in the plaza as well. I'm thinking that is genius. Genius. They could set up like cross promotions. You know, buy your bag of weed, get a free double.
Buy a free Mac, get a Big Mac.
Exactly. Like this could be genius. These people are brilliant. Their logo sucks, but they're still smart.
Their logo does suck, but it did cost us like $250,000.
So. It was 600,000.
Oh, yeah. It was. I thought it was a quarter. It was more than $500,000.
Yeah, but the $6 million included all the other branding too, which was probably the logo in different sizes. I don't know.
Shows you how much I know about weed. I used to think a bushel was a lot. Turns out it's a shitload.
Yeah, whoever designed that logo, you're gonna find they're gonna be dead, like out back of that McDonald's. They'll have gorged themselves to burst.
My theory is that was $600,000 for the weed and big McDonald's. My theory on that logo is that some company had their intern do it, so they paid the guy like $15 to make it, and they charged $500,000.
Holy shit! Yeah, I'm just looking it up for the first time. That's fucking terrible.
Isn't that sweet? Like, MS Paint, buddy.
Come on, a little bit of Arial font with a circle.
I've literally designed better logos in my sketchbook when I was falling asleep. Like it's just awful.
What we should, I'd love to sit there. Yeah, that person should have to stand in front of a committee and discuss the logo for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, please. Oh, read the Ontario Cannabis Board article about it. It's all about how it's not threatening and doesn't appeal to children and blah blah blah. I think they need a little cartoon pirate smoking a huge joint.
It doesn't appeal to children. Okay, so like, yeah, because you wouldn't,
because they're gonna sell pot to kids.
Yeah,
right.
Since you can't be under 19 and go into the Ontario Cannabis Store, but
exactly.
I think but
let's do about nothing. I think it's funny. The School Board Association, the Ontario Public School Boards Association.
I just hope there's
that they weren't consulted.
I just hope there's no movies or television that glorify marijuana cigarettes. That would be bad.
That would be horrible.
That would be.
Think of the turns.
Let's do another one. A good one on government waste.
I'll be right back. I'm going to switch headsets.
Are you back?
No, he's not. He's talking, but
I think he's back though. That's what's funny.
I think
there you go. Yeah,
now you're back. Okay, I will try my best to fix that in post.
At least we're all quiet.
Just kidding. Not actually going to fix that. It's going out as is.
Oh boy! Thank God my podcast app skips the silence.
Yay for wireless.
Yay for wireless. All right. Vancouver Sun article. Ottawa spends $5.7 million on deer eradication in Haida Gwaii, featuring New Zealand sharpshooters. I don't even know where to start with this. Okay,
pretty sure you could have just handed a bunch of deer tags out and called it a day.
Well, okay, so yeah, that's the thing. These deer were introduced in Haida Gwaii, which is not the name that I was used to for this. It's the shoot, what was the name of the island? They renamed it. It's like the
Queen Charlotte Island.
Queen Charlotte. Thank you.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
white.
So I had to look up and see what Haida Gwaii was, but what they actually meant was the Queen Charlotte Islands. So these deer that are becoming a nuisance now have been there since the late 1800s. They were introduced on purpose to provide deer hunting opportunities for people in the area. This particular brand of deer is particularly destructive and destroying all of the greenery around it.
The asshole deer.
It is the asshole black-tailed deer. I think it's called the Sticka black-tailed deer. But the idea was to introduce deer onto the Queen Charlotte Islands and allow people to hunt them. And they had failed a couple of times, and they were artificially reintroduced on at least 2 subsequent occasions. For whatever reason, our government, in its infinite wisdom, has decided the deer have to now go because they're destroying the natural beauty of the Queen Charlotte Islands. They're eating all the trees or whatever, as deer are wont to do.
Especially asshole deer.
Especially black-tailed asshole deer.
Deer privilege.
So this is the second of 3 years that this government program is running. Last year, they killed almost 600 of these deer. The meat was collected and distributed to the Haida. The part where it gets weird is the people that they brought in are eradication specialists. So it's 5 New Zealanders and a pair of Americans.
Get their phone number. Get their phone number. That's
where the money's going. But it gets better. And I mean, I like where these guys' heads are at because, you know, they used a helicopter to eradicate the deer and also 223 rifles.
And
I'm curious.
223 Remington rifles.
I'm curious about these 223 Remington rifles because that sounds suspiciously like newspeak for AR-15.
Yeah.
I mean patrol carbines.
I do mean patrol carbines because in New Zealand it is very legal to hunt deer with AR-15s.
But isn't it not legal to hunt deer with 223, at least in Ontario? And
I don't know
dogs.
You can hunt them with any center fire cartridge. That's what the law states. I looked it up last week because somebody was bitching at me because I was talking about wanting to use my AR-15 for deer. You can't do that. And I looked it up. It says center fire. I can't find anything that has a caliber or a cartridge. So I'm using a 17 WMR next year.
You can't use a 220. You can't use a 223 on deer. It's like a bazooka.
Oh, tear it apart.
Like a bomb.
Probably kill all of them.
I'm still distressed.
I don't know.
But it's funny, the way they go on, the article is hilarious. It's just
like this article is really good, right? So we have foreign mercenaries that were paying to hunt deer from helicopter and boats and use dogs. They're
tracking dogs. The mixture of breeds, including Hungarian Vizsla, correct with GPS collars. My God, this guy's a novelist.
I like this bit. The program started by attracting the deer with a combination of dry corn, cedar boughs, fresh apples at bait stations, where some could be quickly picked off, then moved into a more aggressive and wide-ranging seek and destroy mission throughout the highlands. It's like they're wiping out the Viet Cong.
That sounds almost like a Norinco AR-15 manual. It's like more annihilating firepower.
So much annihilating firepower. I am curious if these guys got to use ARs and hunt deer from a helicopter in BC, though, because that's kind of what it sounds like. And I don't know about BC, but I'm like 95% certain in Ontario that if you're in a boat, you're not allowed to shoot things that are not in the boat.
Yeah, I thought it was any vehicle, too. Like, you can't do it out of your truck or anything as well.
This isn't hunting.
Yeah, but
this isn't hunting. That's
right. It's not hunting. It's eradicating. Yeah. Because if it were hunting, we would have had to have charged local hunters to buy deer tags, and then we would have had to gone in and had the hunters ethically kill the animals and then pack all the meat out.
Plus, you wouldn't be able to make it sound like some super secret code word you're using to hire assassins, the eradicators.
But if you look at that picture of that chef, I don't know how much venison is getting past him.
He looks happy.
He is like
a well-fed chef.
He's a full man.
Never trust a skinny chef.
You gotta get rid of these damn deers.
More.
So, I mean, I think this is a big case of hippies in BC not knowing what they're doing, but this is really funny to read from anyone that knows anything about hunting. Like what these guys are not.
I want in.
These guys are not doing. Where's the part with the headshots? Because that part is also particularly well written.
I was blown away by how professional it was. The SPCA's chief scientific officer. They would only take headshots, no body shots, and only if they could guarantee an instant kill.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to say that in like a deep, dark voice.
Yes.
Sorry,
But what ethical hunter do you know like takes headshots on deer?
I can just imagine just some government lawyer there, and it's just like, do you have the shot? Yes. And then sign here, please. Guarantee an instant kill.
Sierra 1, you have a green light on that deer.
Send it.
I am kind of surprised they're getting headshots from helicopters. I mean, I don't know.
I want to
never
see
shot
guys
from a helicopter, but
these eradication
I'd like
specialists sound awesome, and I want to know why we're not doing this job, because the government didn't even I would have done this for free, and I don't hunt.
Yeah,
I would have done it for ammo and fuel. I mean, we'll need.
I would have paid to have done this.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of Canadians would pay for this to go on in and get a deer and take it home.
Yeah,
but I guess we got to move to New Zealand and
helicopter
join this group so we can come up here and hunt Canadian deer, asshole deer.
Shit, I want to shoot competition from a helicopter. Never mind hunting deer. I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
So how many shooters were there? Because I think I'm only seeing 4.
So the way that I understand this was they hired 5 eradication specialists from New Zealand and 2 from America, and at any given time, 4 of them were using the helicopter. Although it seems like one of the local boys, one of the Haida individuals, was able to tag along for at least one helicopter ride.
It says 4 Americans who specialize in wildlife behavior also participated, 32 residents of the island, including 4 sharpshooters, one of whom joined the Kiwis for helicopter-based shooting, as well as logistical and technical support. Wow.
So, yeah, I know helicopters are kind of expensive to run.
Yes.
But those shooters must have been getting paid a lot to do that.
Or they're people like us that were like, oh, free trip from New Zealand to come and visit BC, and I get to shoot a deer from a helicopter? Where do I fucking sign? Why, yes, Government of Canada, I am an eradication specialist. Thank you for asking.
How much are you paying, mate?
Oh, crap.
How much am I paying, mate? We're paying you. Sign me up.
Yeah, like I don't know. I could see this being a lot of abuse, but it is really funny because the people like the SPCA and Parks Canada and the rest of the government agencies involved in this would never talk about this if it were hunting. But because they're eradicating an invasive species to protect other flora and fauna in this natural habitat, they're all like, yeah, fucking shoot the deer in the head from a helicopter. Give her.
I was so impressed when they shot the deer with the 223 Remington rifle from
In
a
the
helicopter.
face.
Yeah, and all it cost was 9.5 times a pot store logo price.
Yeah.
Well,
It's probably in there somewhere.
if you figure last year they shot 600 deer, and assuming the total price of the program is $6 million, these deers are costing like $4,000 a pop.
You could buy a cow for that.
$8,000 a day. That's not too bad.
That's right. That's not bad.
It's an expensive deer.
You know, you're kind of coming off like someone who doesn't care about the trees, Andrew.
I don't really care about the Haida's sacred redwood trees. You're right. I am very culturally insensitive. If Marty was here, I'd ask him what kind of canoe I could make out of a redwood tree, but I'm pretty sure the answer is none.
You could probably make a lot of canoes out of those. Those things are huge.
Yeah, you could probably strip them up and make lots of.
Yeah.
I bet they'd be nice strip canoes.
Oh, and they're still going to do it for another year and a half. They're going to do it to 2019.
Yeah, this is only the second of 3 years. It's a $6 million 3-year-long program. Last year they got 600 deer. I'm curious if they keep up with that, if it's another 600 this year. Because, like, assuming they baited them all last year the same way as they describe as baiting them now, they got the stupid ones.
Yeah.
Well, it's just an island. Just line up in a row and just shoot everything that moves. There's nobody there, so.
What? And they did specifically check that to make sure no one was camping on the island before
I noticed that. Hello? Hello? Anyone camping?
We're here to shoot the deer.
Last chance.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, as our official representative, you write the government and get us a trip on this thing, because that sounds like a lot of fun. Plus, deer, so it sounds fun and delicious.
Does. It's
I will buy a rifle for this unless they let me to use my AR-15.
Good luck
But
finding,
I'll
good
beg
luck
for the
finding
full
a
capacity
223
mags.
Remington one. Sorry, Andrew, I steamrolled you.
That's okay.
let's do another one. Dude that got steamrolled by the government in this case, the Canada Revenue Agency says this man, Nova Scotia man, is dead, and he insists he's very much alive.
I'm alive. I feel wonderful.
So
You're not fooling anyone.
Yes, someone got it.
Reg Kane of Cape Breton opened a letter last month from the Canadian Revenue Agency. The letter wasn't back taxes. The letter wasn't an audit. The letter was that the CRA listed him as deceased.
Was it addressed to him?
It was addressed to the estate of the late Reg Kane. And
He looks pretty alive.
he does. Unfortunately, this gentleman's wife passed away last year, and he did try to file the appropriate paperwork for his wife's estate. But somehow the CRA and possibly Service Canada has managed to decide that he is dead, even though he doesn't have a death certificate.
Well, if he's dead, he's not going to be able to sign anything to prove that he's not dead. So that
Yeah.
puts him in a difficult
actually
position.
report someone as deceased. It takes forever, and you have to send in
Right.
so much paperwork and all this other bullshit to get it all sorted out. And now they just, yeah, you're dead.
That's
No,
the part that
prove
I'm
your
super
life.
confused by on this is if you have to deal with someone else's estate, it's a pain in the ass to prove to the government that they really are dead and the estate is closed and all the other like final plan stuff that you have to do for somebody.
He got a benefits check addressed not to his wife's estate, but to his.
Yeah, and
So
that
he's
would be
dead
his.
And they're sending him money.
Well, so that's the thing is old age security and Canada pension plan cut off the month following when you inform the government that you're deceased. Or when someone informs the government that the person who has the estate has become deceased.
I'm very sorry. I can no longer pay taxes as I am dead. Signed, Dave.
Which I think would be a great plan, except in this case, this guy needs his old age security and his Canada pension plan in order to keep living.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
some-
Son
Somehow-
died the previous day.
so they
Ouch.
put the cart before the horse. He'll be dead in a
Dead
month.
cart.
Yeah, this is
So let's not even correct the paperwork. He'll be dead in a month. Don't worry about it.
government bureaucracy at its finest.
I wonder
Speaking
how
of
much
which-
work he's going to have to go through to prove he's not dead.
It seems like a lot.
Just today, I got a letter from the CRA. I'd show it, but I don't want to dox myself. But on one part of the page, my name is spelled correctly. 1 inch below that, my last name is spelled completely wrong. Thank you. So now I'm going to have to sort that out.
Sounds like you don't have to pay taxes because they don't know who you are.
Yeah, I wish.
And good luck
But-
phoning them and getting a hold of somebody to sort it
Well,
out. Best
just
of luck, sir.
This is call me a conspiracy theorist, but if you get a knock on the door and it sounds like a New Zealand eradication squad, just don't answer the door.
Helicopters.
It's just easier. Yeah, it's just easier to headshot you with a 223 Remington.
I'm sorry, sir. The government says you're dead, so just correcting an oversight.
We're correcting the situation.
See what I mean? I just sent it. Like, really?
Just need to eradicate some people. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, that's the communist way. People are asking questions. Time to die. Anyway, I don't think there's anything more we're going to say about that one.
No, I just
No.
I don't want to perpetuate a stereotype, but like from what I've heard, the dead don't open letters.
Yeah. Assuming someone's life status, you're a hateful person.
Yes, fuller than
Their
a
pronoun
shop.
is zombie. All right, let's do another one. We've got a individual last week that was setting things on fire at Yonge and Dundas Square, downtown Toronto.
What
So
other
they
people's stuff?
Well, we don't know anything about anything. The police and the fire department responded. The video went viral on the internet. They were burning books and clothes. At least one person reports that they burned a Bible.
I like that they point out it appears to be a can of gasoline. That looks more like paint thinner. That's not gasoline.
Yeah, it looks like paint thinner to me, but kind of a funny bottle for gasoline. But whatever, the police responded to an unknown trouble call, and the fire department showed up, and there were no injuries and no charges. So I guess it's a win. So feel free to start burning things in Toronto because no one cares.
Sounds like he was probably drunk and had some mental illness. So yeah, you probably wouldn't lay charges then. You'd just take him away and
Maybe he's cold.
I'm like 90% sure if I went to downtown Toronto and started burning stuff, including religious books, I'm pretty sure I will get tased, possibly shot, definitely jailed.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if you have an accident, like, you can get charged for your ambulance ride, and they scrambled fire and police to this guy, and that's it. They're just they said they didn't charge him. Charges may not be laid.
Yeah, if it's mental illness or high or drunk, that sounds like all of the above.
So if I do a bushel of marijuana and a 40 of whiskey, then I can go downtown Toronto and start burning religious artifacts and clothes.
Apparently, you can beat people with a bat. So
yeah, if I inject myself with marijuana cigarettes,
I would pay to see that.
And then go down and burn stuff. It'd be like, oh, don't worry.
No, he's just high.
But like the drunk thing, like that is not a defense for public drunkenness, which usually involves no flames. But
yeah,
I don't know. Watch for more burnings in the streets.
I don't know.
It's the thing now. Someone burnt themselves to death in New York City recently, like a day or two. Today or yesterday.
Charged. Get them off the streets.
What I'm taking from this is it's okay to start lighting fires in downtown Toronto.
Let us know how that goes.
I think we should almost reach out to the city office and find what their official position is. If this is a green light for the street fires.
Well, no, because if you go ask government, then they'll allow it, but you'll need to get a burn permit and inspection and have to present a plan.
Do you suppose that you could get a burn permit for downtown Toronto?
Only one way to find out. Phone them.
How many
phone calls that want to burn?
Yes. The fire will go from Mississauga all the way to...
I got some books need some burning.
He also said he was
very tall.
And about over there. He also says he appeared to be drinking a beer, so they didn't get him for public intoxication or drinking or whatever the hell the charge is. 2 charges:
public drunkenness and drinking in public. It's 2 different charges.
Thank you for chilling.
Yeah, what kind of an example are we setting for those children that are going to school near the Ontario Cannabis Store?
Yeah, there's children in the picture, like in the background watching this guy.
So. Probably cheering him on. Maybe they think he's like burning Nazi propaganda or something.
Yeah. I really wish we had the way to figure this out, because like if we took a copy of like Mein Kampf and went to downtown Toronto and started burning it, would anybody get upset? And then if we did the same thing with like a Quran, would anybody get upset? I'm curious, like, what is the book that I have to burn in order for the police to take it seriously?
So you think it comes down to literature choice, not the act of burning? That's interesting.
Good point. Good point. You'd have to go dig it out of the fire, check and see what he's doing, make sure he's not a marginalized minority, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Well, we know he's a marginalized minority. That was why he was lighting stuff on fire in the street and also day drinking.
Yeah.
Let's do the last one. We got a pretty good sized article from the Financial Post. Why tech giants like Google want to make sure Canadians keep stealing entertainment. And I think, Andrew, you brought this one up.
Yeah. They're talking about this was kind of brought up a couple weeks ago with the other Fair Play, the coalition that is with Rogers, the CRTC, and a couple other ISPs and that sort of stuff, where they're trying to censor different websites that are known and confirmed to be hosting copyrighted material and all that sort of stuff. And this just is one gigantic step going towards censorship, because at first it's probably going to be used the right way and be completely ineffective. Like, I've seen all the times when they've tried to take down websites like the Pirate Bay or anything like that, and they just keep hopping websites. Okay, first it's on a .org, okay, then it's on somewhere in Europe, and then it's somewhere in Asia, then just... So they're just going to keep going after them, and eventually they're just going to, okay, they'll take down some of the smaller websites or something on the alt-right, or just start taking down websites that, oh, no, these are bad for you, so you don't need to do it.
Yeah, there's illegal content here. You don't need to have access to this illegal content.
Yeah, and just keep going step after step after step until our only websites are like the CBC and other approved websites, like what's happening in North Korea, or what happened in North Korea. And
well, you have to have power to have internet, and you probably have to have food to feed your employees to run the power plant. But I get the example that you're drawing.
Yeah.
The Fair Play stuff scares me a little bit. Fair Play is a coalition with CBC, Bell, Rogers, various media companies that are petitioning the CRTC to regulate the internet in a new and exciting way.
I'm excited.
The problem that I have with Fair Play is when you argue with groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, like the people that are like the American Civil Liberties Union of the internet, when you argue with the Electronic Frontier Foundation, they say you shouldn't do this. It probably means you're being a dick, and you shouldn't do it, because the Electronic Frontier Foundation is very level about what they support for the internet, and it's basically like, just stop regulating things that don't need to be regulated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like the Fair Play proposals the creation of an expert independent body, the Independent Piracy Review Agency, to recommend sites to be blocked. Well, we know that the expert independent body would probably be government run, so
it'll cost us millions and millions of dollars a year to achieve no tangible consequences.
Exactly. I like the internet being Wild Westy, and I kind of like that people can do whatever the hell they want. Whether I approve of it or not, it's what makes the internet the internet. So,
well, and I get that.
Sorry,
and
folks.
there's the thing that they're coming back to with the CRTC about the intellectual property stuff and making sure that people that produce content get paid. I understand that this is a valid concern, but if people are stealing your content, maybe you need to look at your distribution model and find a better way to get it to your consumers. Because if they want your content, the problem is not the content. The problem is the distribution model.
Yeah, make everything super easy to access.
Talking to you, Game
easy
of
to
Thrones.
purchase, and you will have less piracy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, Game of Thrones is a great example. If you want to watch HBO in Canada, you have to have the top-tier cable package, and it costs a small fortune to watch one show.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you could buy it on Amazon for $1 or $2 an episode, you pretty much guarantee people are going to do that, because the Amazon distribution model for Amazon Movies, Amazon Video, whatever it's called, is far superior to trying to steal things illegally.
But that's the thing. The market spoke loudly, and Game of Thrones was the best known example of that recently. But the market was clearly shouting, "Hey, this is not acceptable to us. This is what we're going to do." And they lost a lot of money on it. But it came down to more like government regulation, CRTC.
Yeah,
CRTC shit.
You guys remember the turn of the early to mid 2000s when Napster was a thing?
Yep.
And it was a way to get music, and the music was free, and there was a community that was built around it. And as soon as music started to be able to be easily and cheaply obtained through sources like iTunes, all of a sudden music trading services like Napster have just sort of gone away and died.
Yeah, but I remember that's exactly it. But it's just I remember Like when Napster in its heyday, if you find someone with good ping, you could get like a song every 30 seconds. You could get like 6 songs to 1. In the amount of time it takes you to listen to a song, you could get 6 songs.
The problem with that whole thing was that the record industry fought the legal distribution by anyone other than them online. Absolutely tooth and nail. They were trying to shovel that river back up to its source. And the amount of money they spent on lawyers, imagine what they could have done if they had just said, screw it, we're going to do an online distribution model.
Yeah.
Could have been amazing.
Yeah, instead of adapting and going with it, they fought it. And there's the infamous quote, only a handful of computer nerds in their mother's basement will download music from the internet or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And then they tried out there was a CD tax. I don't know if anyone recalls that, but they put a tax on CDs that would go on to help offset the loss because people were pirating CDs. But to the point where it's still, I think, more expensive to buy a CD, which is like 650 megabytes instead of a DVD, which is like 4.4. It's absurd. But
it's
the thing
absurd.
What pisses me off with piracy and the way I look at it is like, here we are, like the latest greatest movie comes out. You go to Walmart or whatever to get the movie for the kids, and it's like $28 to $36. What? I assume you can buy that movie in like Haiti or Burundi. You know, what does it cost there? They're just selling a copy to them? Like, how much?
A lot less.
That's what I mean. Like we are paying more than our share.
Yeah, and that's why your DVD player. Actually, I had somebody in my store on the weekend. They brought by a DVD of this ancient show from Australia that they love. They finally found a DVD for it, and they can't watch it here because it's region locked to Australia. Their DVD player won't play it. So.
Yeah. But again, that's more intervention. Like that's more interference with the market. People are saying, "No, this is what I want to do," and you got to draw the line somewhere and make some money still, but you got to give the market essentially what it wants within reason.
Yeah, well, and I think that we're getting to that point now. Look at services like Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Prime Music, Netflix. What's the paid Canadian TV that Letterkenny?
Crackle.
I don't know Crackle, but I mean that's the thing is these services are coming around. Netflix is $15 a month. You can watch a ton of stuff on Netflix. I mean, you still don't get HBO, so Game of Thrones is out, but you can watch a ton of quality video content on their platform. The same thing with Amazon, the same thing with Crave. Like, these services are affordable, and internet to your home is, for most Canadians, at a point where it's watchable.
The problem with most of those services, including Netflix, is it's still geo-locked. I mean, that's why people buy VPN services and go, screw you, I'm going to watch American Netflix because there's stuff on there I want. And I think that whole model of geolocking stuff is so obsolete, and people need to figure out a way to make money and have it open so people can get their content. My wife really, really likes the Property Brothers. She wanted to watch Property Brothers. We don't have cable TV. You can't watch it legally in Canada anywhere I can find unless you have cable TV. So you have to subscribe to Bell or Rogers or whatever to watch one show. So we just don't watch it, right? If we have American TV, you can log in with a VPN and you can just watch the show online because all the American stations, they stream it. But I can't watch it here. You know, I'd happily just pay a subscription just to watch Property Brothers or just to watch HGTV, but I can't watch HGTV without subscribing to Bell for like friggin' $50 a month, which I'm not doing.
Yeah. Like HBO has already come up with their own streaming service called HBO Go or HBO Now. And you can pay for it similar to Netflix on a monthly basis, and you get all the HBO shows, and you don't have to have a cable subscription, but you can't get it in Canada.
Exactly, yeah.
You have to get the premium cable subscription, like Andrew was saying before, in order to watch the show.
Which is bullshit, because I don't have cable TV. I'm not interested in it. It is a horrible, horrible experience. When we tried it a couple months ago, we sent it back. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I just want my 1 or 2 shows and we're done.
Well, that's the thing,
I
though.
think that's the way most people are. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, but we're paying to run, and I was quickly trying to intern, and I failed miserably. But like they probably blocked it on my internet. But like I'm trying to find out what we spend a year on to run the CRTC in Canada. So here we're we're taxed. We pay for this service, which interferes with our market availability of products. So we end up having to pay more for. Oh yeah, we just got to protect our culture.
Because there's no internet there. We can just go watch whatever the hell we want, like adults.
I believe the operating budget for the CRTC is $47.5 million annually.
Speaking of which, Corner Gas is a cartoon now.
Well, that's weird.
There's our culture. Is it drawn by Koreans?
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes me sad. I don't want to see regulation of the internet. I would like to see that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would like to see the existing media react to market demands and produce services like HBO Now available to Canadians so that you can subscribe to the one thing you want, or put your shows on iTunes and pay $1 for every episode that you download, because they've done that for programs.
Yeah.
You know what? Again, they're trying to shovel the river, and every industry does this. That's where the frickin' Luddites came from, right? Somebody invented a loom, and all of a sudden, we're all going to be out of work. We have to burn all the looms, right? Every industry is like that. They fight and they fight and they fight, and then eventually they just get steamrolled by history.
Like a perfect example of having like ease of use and ease of purchases is a gaming platform called Steam.
I love Steam.
I can buy and download a game faster and easier than I can pirate a game.
Yep, absolutely. 6
clicks, I can purchase a game, select my payment type, however I want to pay for it, download, install it, and play it. I can't even do that if I wanted to pirate it.
I haven't been into EB Games literally since a friend of mine used to work there. He used to go in and buy games. It was about 8 years ago. I've bought nothing except from Steam and other online sources since then. Why bother? I could go line up like idiot in front of a thing and get a physical disc that I'm going to throw away a couple of years ago, or I can go download and go do something else for an hour, and when I come back, I've got Call of Duty or whatever I want to play.
Yeah, so awesome. They need to make all media that easy.
Absolutely.
Well, and they've tried to start doing that, but the problem is we're stuck. It's the same reason why we have all the problems that we've had with newspapers. It's these old technologies that refuse to get current with the times. It's the reason we can't have HBO Go in Canada, is because there's some weird licensing model that prohibits the Canadian market from being able to subscribe to one channel because of regulation that was imposed by the CRTC.
Yeah, which was pushed by all the cable companies because they want you to buy packages instead of a single
The same group of people that are pushing fair play were the same group of people that locked us into having to get subscription packages.
The same rant I went on a couple weeks ago. It's
the same RCMP?
Yeah.
Not that one. The other one where my show notes broke and I couldn't read what I was talking about. But they've shot themselves in the foot, and I'm glad they're finally seeing the repercussions of their actions. It's just, unfortunately, they're way too huge for this to be any significant threat against them.
Well, it's a good thing we pay the lowest cell phone rates in the world.
Oh, yeah. And internet. Hey, one of the highest that we have a quote-unquote third world tier of internet.
But it just shows you there's two different industries and how they're reacting to the problem differently. In the video game industry, which is larger than the movie industry now at this point, is reacting more intelligently with Steam, and they're still going and like steamrolling, whereas the movie industry is kind of like they're kind
of jerking off onto ficuses.
Yeah, which is funny because the gaming industry is not a new industry either. It's been around for 40 years. But yeah, they just let's roll with this stuff. We can make money here. This is awesome. And the movie industry is let's hire lawyers. Yep, that's a good idea.
All right, we can start wrapping this up. Reminders for petitions, go to oneclearvoice.ca, print out, I don't know where we're up to now, 9 campaigns. Print out a letter, send it to your MP, send it to the Minister of Public Safety, Mr. Goodale, send it to the shiniest of ponies. Actually, going back to Jordan Peterson earlier, I heard him call the Prime Minister the Peter Pan Prime Minister. That was funny. We might have to use that. Also, go on the government petition website, look up EU 1608. That's the Canadian, or the petition for the new change to C71. with the Canadian firearms laws. Sign that. It's quickly approaching the most signed petition. It's over 66,000 signatures now.
Absolutely. You may as well do it. Why not? Takes 30 seconds and
Costs you nothing.
And a few
Sign
people
up
going,
for
"Oh,
your
we're not-"
friends. If your friends refuse to do it for them.
I don't recommend doing that because then that makes it look sketchy. We've got enough people anyway.
Send it to their email address. You gotta validate your email. You can punch in your mom's email address and tell her to click the link.
No, that's true. Okay, that's legit.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
I know what you meant. This is remember, Canadian Patriot Podcast is an entertainment program. We do not provide legal advice. Consult your lawyers before you do anything we say on the show. Upcoming events, we have the 8th annual Canadian Firearms Podcaster Charity Network Shoot.
Who's coming?
July 5th to the 7th. I'm going to be there.
I'm going to be there. And you got in on the maple seat, though, didn't you?
I got into the maple seat. I did. I think Gavin and Angela are going to be there. I will be bringing my whole cadre with me. The boy and my wife will both be there. The boy will not be shooting.
Oh, that's bad.
Aw.
They don't make rifles in infant.
Are you sure?
Yes, I looked specifically. July 5th to the 7th. Proceeds go to Dalhousie Regional High School Breakfast Program.
An excellent cause.
Maple Seed, Ferlacci handgun class. Saturday is the actual charity shoot. From what I hear, the barbecue at Trevor's house will be open carry. Email Trevor to confirm. Invitation letter will be on the Restigouche Gun Club website. We also have an event from True North Tradecraft.
Oh, yes.
Upcoming event from True North Tradecraft. Our friends over there are running a covert entry class or covert entry concepts class. Gavin has taken that class. Gavin is, of course, a regular panelist on the show. The course fee is $865. You need to put in your $200 deposit to hold your spot. The class will be running in Toronto on May 12th and 13th. Link in the show notes. If you want to check out their website, they're truenorthtradecraft.ca. The covert entry class does sound super cool. It's 2 days of lock picking and breaking into buildings. And from what I understand, the graduation exercise is a race against another person, and the loser gets pepper sprayed.
I like it.
So this is like, yeah. I'm glad you clarified that.
Fun.
The lockpicking stuff. I thought it was like a Bill Cosby covert entry kind of.
Does this rag smell like chloroform to you?
With the jello and the chloroform and the
My barbecue sauce.
Oh, we're gonna get sued for that.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
True North Tradecraft. Go check those guys out. Tell Boris we say hello. We also have rapid fire feedback this week. Rapid fire feedbacks from Dave. I assume this is not random Dave, but yet another Dave.
Yeah.
So, gun shop record keeping. Hey guys, just wanted to clarify something. I heard you guys say that businesses are currently still required to record purchasers' info. Are you sure about that? I thought Stephen Blaney told the CFOs that they may not make record keeping of people's pals a condition of the business license. This was the backdoor registry backlash post C19. I sure as shit hope the shops I have been purchasing non-restricted from since the LGR was abolished have not been recording my info. Can you confirm? Keep spreading the message. Thanks, Dave. I will do my best, Dave. In Ontario, it is the case, as far as I'm aware, that stores are still using the Green Ledger to record information at the request of the Ontario CFO. I have not purchased a non-restricted firearm in the last 2 years at a firearms retailer, but I had immediately following the long gun registry being abolished, and they were still using the Green Ledger, although that is anecdotally my experience at one gun shop, and that information was immediately following the change. Have you guys bought an unrestricted recently?
Well, when did Canadian Tire bought ammo and they recorded that? But I know all Canadian Tires everywhere pretty much record all that info.
We should ask Mike T about that. He'd be able to offer first-person confirmation of that. As far as I know, that's still the rule in Ontario.
Oh, I think
I have seen the Green Book of Ledger.
I think Gavin and
Yeah, they
Tyler, when
recently
they bought
bought-
their rifles, theirs was recorded down.
But they bought their rifles at a Canadian Tire, which is not exactly the most legitimate gun store in the world.
Yeah.
So Canadian Tire has a habit of writing down everything to do with guns. That's their corporate policy. I'm more concerned about if we could answer this from an actual gun store. I don't think we can on the panel tonight. Anecdotally, I've seen the Big Green Book being used in actual gun stores. I have not personally gone through that experience in the last 2 years. So I cannot provide you better anecdotal information, Dave, but as far as I understand, at least in Ontario, gun stores are still doing it as a condition of their firearms business license and using the Big Green Stupid Book of Government Bureaucracy.
Tune in next week.
Where we still don't answer the question.
Yeah, well, we'll try again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
I just sent Mike T a question. Just asked him that.
Let's wait here.
We'll just sit here and wait. Maybe he'll answer.
Yes.
No, we'll do our outros.
Go take a pee, audience.
Might be a while.
Where can everybody find you on the internet, Andrew?
You can find me at betterandrew.biz or andar.ca.
.biz. Nobody has the
Biz.
.biz.
Conan.
Oh, make sure your sound is turned way up when you
Yes.
visit betterandrew.biz. It's
Yeah.
very important to get the full audio visual experience.
And make
do
sure
it.
you take
Do it
those
now,
eye
Dave.
drops that dilate your pupils so you
Do
can
it now, Dave.
really see all the details.
It's super good. Dave, where can everybody find you? Do you have a social media personality, a public-facing internet persona?
I do not.
You have a cat.
Okay.
I do have a cat. Yeah, no.
Hi, Dave.
At
Under
the
Dave's
moment,
cat.
I can go to Planet Marauder, take a look there. That is an awesome website, Andrew. You are freaking winning.
I can see
Love
it
the
reflecting in
flames.
your glasses.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where can everybody find you on the internet?
You can find me at facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts.
I hear they are quite good.
Yeah, quite good.
They are
rep
quite
one.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it's Tan Steel Clubbing Club. That is a
Yes.
solid t-shirt.
Nice.
As always, my name is Andrew. You can find me at ragnaroktactical.ca. Buy some frickin' bandages. You need a first aid kit. I should have tourniquets and all that stuff back in stock in the next couple of days. We also have a whole lot of tacos that have come in. I'm trying to get the entire HSGI line in, but in the meantime, we've got medical pouches and we've got all the tacos you could shake a wall at. If you want to check us out, ragnaroktactical.ca. You can find the podcast on the internet. I know, shocking, right? Visit our webpage, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Buy some merch. Give us a like on Facebook, Facebook.com/CanadianPatriotPodcast. And if you want to send me hate mail, you can do that at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com or link on the website, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback. Let me know what your preferred pronoun is and how we offended you. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. We couldn't fit him and Random Dave into the same episode. It was too many random people for our own good.
Sorry,
We look
Rod.
forward to having Rod on a future episode. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.